Hi everybody, welcome back to Sydney's Stoma channel. If you're new to the channel, my name's Chris. I hope you're doing really well, hope you're staying safe and well in the current COVID climate that we're in. I'm in the UK and our COVID restrictions are forever changing and sometimes they get a bit confusing and quite difficult to keep up with. So I hope wherever you are in the world that you're staying safe anyway, and I hope the rules aren't too difficult to follow like they can be in the UK at times. So today's video I'm going to be talking to you about why I chose to have colostomy surgery. So it wasn't a forced colostomy. In terms of what I mean by forced, I didn't go into surgery, I wasn't rushed in as an emergency and then woke up and found myself with a colostomy. So what I mean by forced by that is that the surgeons, when they rushed you into surgery, had no option but to give you a colostomy. So I chose to have a colostomy. So I've had my colostomy since 2017. November 2017 I had my permanent colostomy formed, and it was all my decision. I was never pushed into that. Many years ago, well not many years ago, but about sort of 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, I was rushed into surgery where I had a bowel resection, and before they rushed me into surgery, on my stomach they drew a big black marker pen where a colostomy site would be. And that I found quite daunting because I didn't really understand what stomas were at that stage, and I was just being told I could wake up with one. And the first thing I did when I came round from that surgery was put my hand underneath the sheet to feel if I had one, and I didn't have one. So for me that was okay at that time, and the thought of having a colostomy had never really crossed my mind, and it was certainly something that I probably didn't want back then 5, 6, 7 years ago. So moving on to 2017 is when I got round to choosing to have a colostomy surgery and have the whole anus removed and have what's called a Barbie butt. So most of you should know what a Barbie doll looks like when it's naked, or an action man when it's naked. The bum just has a line, doesn't it? That's all. That's what a Barbie butt is. So you just have a line where everything heals up and has been removed. So yes, I made that decision in 2017. So what led me to making that decision? So I have Crohn's disease, and my Crohn's disease does affect the majority of my digestive system, but it was predominantly in the rectum area that my Crohn's was most active. I did have a small bowel resection a few years back, as I've mentioned, but predominantly most of my surgeries have all been to do with the rectum. I was plagued with fistulas, just one after the other, multiple fistulas, time and time again, and that went on for years, really, many years. If you've had a fistula, you'll understand how uncomfortable they can be. But the worst part I found with having fistulas was I just kept getting abscesses in them. And if you've ever had an abscess in your rectum, you'll understand the pain. It is just barbaric, the pain of an abscess in your rectum area where the fistula has developed into an abscess, where things have got stuck in the channel, the fistula tract, and it just creates an abscess. So I had plenty of seat and drains put in place. A seat and drains is like a little elastic, or not elastic, or plastic band, very thin, and they put that through the fistula tract and it pops out near your anus, your rectum, and that allows the fistula to kind of stay open and allows it to drain. With it draining, obviously you've got no control over that, so I used to have to wear products in my underwear to absorb what was coming out of that fistula tract. I had so many seat and drains, it was unreal, and excuse me, and they weren't helping. They were not solving the problem with my fistulas. They tried all sorts of treatments in terms of fistulas to get them to heal, but they would just never heal. I was on infliximab for many years. I think I did about 7 years on infliximab, and that reduced some of my Crohn's symptoms, but it certainly didn't reduce anything in terms of the fistulas. And as I say, I just kept getting abscess after abscess. I was constantly going into hospital, having surgeries to have the abscess cut out, and that was all what they call laid open. So after they've done the surgery, you've got this big hole that's right next to your rectum, and you'd have to let that heal without them stitching it up. Sometimes they'd have to be packed to do that. The packing gets smaller and smaller as the wound heals upwards. And they just still kept forming no matter how many times I had abscesses cut out. But like I say, abscess pain in the rectum, it is just barbaric. It is just the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life. And I've experienced a lot of pain with Crohn's disease. I've also had sepsis. That was seriously worrying. I think if it wasn't for my wife, I probably wouldn't be here today because of the sepsis. She spotted it and rushed me to hospital. That was horrendous. But abscess pain in the rectum, boy, it's just a different level. So this kept going on and on and on over years, and I think in about 5 years, I think we worked out I had 20 operations in a 5 year period, and the majority of those were all to do with the fistulas and abscesses. But the biggest issue that they caused is because of where the fistulas were, they were so close and sometimes touching the sphincter muscle that it just caused just irreparable damage to the sphincter muscle. So the sphincter muscle, that helps you hold on to things, if you like. If you need to go to the toilet, you can hold it in. Well, with the damage that I had zero bowel control. And I mean zero bowel control. I couldn't hold my bowels when I needed to go. I was working full time. It was creating massive issues for me work wise. I was having to wear adult nappies effectively, well, that's what they were, or adult incontinence pants, whatever you want to call them. I was having to wear those to work, and wherever we went out, I knew where every public toilet was in my county of near where I live. If we went out for the day, it was a trauma. Everything relied on knowing where toilets were, and I always had this constant pain in my backside. It was just too much. So that went on and on and on, and it was just absolutely wrecking my quality of life. I just couldn't really go anywhere or do anything without the fear of having an accident. And that would happen all too often, really. Every time I went out, I'd guarantee that I wouldn't be able to control my bowels, and it's awkward. So as time progressed, we got towards the tail end of 2017, and I had an appointment with my surgeon, and I sat with her one day, and she's an amazing lady, my surgeon, and I just said to her, I've had enough. I've absolutely had enough. I'm at the lowest ebb I can possibly be in regards to my Crohn's disease. And I said to her, just take it all out now. Just give me a colostomy, get it all out. I go for the Barbie butt surgery. Let's get rid of it, because that was the only option I felt I had left. I'd done all the medications. I'd had all different treatments done on fistulas. I'd had collagen implants in my fistulas. Nothing, absolutely nothing was working to heal that problem. And that problem created the bowel incontinence. So I just said to my surgeon, enough's enough. Let's get it all out. By this point, I'd done research by now on the different types of stomas or ostomy surgeries. And in my mind, for all the research I did, I knew it was probably the right decision to make. And I made the decision when I wanted to make the decision, so I was comfortable with that decision. Whereas some people wake up from surgery and they've got one, and that must be really daunting and really scary, and probably quite upsetting to wake up with a colostomy or an ileostomy if you didn't know it was coming. So I knew mine was coming. I'd made that decision, and I'd done a good year and a half of research of looking into people's lives with having them, and the absolute overriding thing was people were so much happier and leading much better lives. So I thought, I've got nothing else to do now. I've tried everything. I've had all the surgeries. I've had all the setons, all the implants, all the medications. I've had everything, and I just had to go for it. So I said to my surgeon, right, enough's enough. Let's get it out. I want it out completely. I don't want one that's reversible, because I just knew it'd all come back again. I said, get it all out. Let's go for the full surgery. Our surgeon was amazing, and she was more than happy to book that in. And within 2 weeks of making that decision, I was sitting in the hospital bed, going into theatre, about to have that surgery. It's one of the most relaxed I've been in terms of going into surgery, because in my mind I knew that this was the right thing to do and probably the best thing for me moving forward. I was so relaxed, chatting away to the anaesthetist and the other teams that are in the surgical theatre, and I was really, really relaxed. In fact, they did kind of comment on how relaxed I was. But I just knew it was the right thing. I was 100% sure that that was the right thing for me. And it was the biggest operation I've ever had in terms of surgery. And I have had a lot. Like I say, I've had over 20, but that was the biggest. And I think it was about 5.5, 6 hours worth of surgery. And so, yeah, I had my surgery, came round And yeah, there it was. There was Sydney Stoma. That's where Sydney came from. That's Sydney was given that name very quickly after surgery. After discussions with my kids, we decided to call my stoma Sydney, and I've never ever looked back. I've never ever regretted that decision to have a colostomy. It is by far the best decision I've ever made in terms of my physical health and well-being. It gave me my life back. Well, not could, I can go out whenever I want, go wherever I want. My holidays have improved, my social life's improved, just going to the shops has improved, being at work has improved. It just was the best thing I ever did. And my surgeon actually said to me, once she had opened me up, down the abdomen and from underneath, she said, her exact words were, that was the best decision you could have made regarding your health. She said, once we got you open and we could properly have a good look at where your fistulas were and where they were going, she said there's no way on earth they were ever going to fix that. So she said, yeah, you've absolutely made the right decision. So for me, it was the right decision, still the right decision. One of my other videos, I talk about the pros and cons of having a colostomy, but the pros far outweigh the cons or the negatives of having a colostomy. I have my life back, which has been amazing to have my life back. So I'm coming up to 3 years with my colostomy, and like I say, that there's nothing that I regret. I would never go back and change that decision, and touch wood, since then I've not had any issues in the rectum area, probably because it's all gone, it's not there. It doesn't mean things can't come back in that area, they can, but I haven't had anything yet, and I very much hope that they never do, and I don't think they ever will. So that's why I chose to have colostomy surgery, and it was the best decision I ever made. And so grateful for my surgical team, so grateful for my surgeon, so grateful for the support from my wife and friends and family. But it was absolutely the best decision. So why am I doing this video? Because I just want people to understand why I chose colostomy surgery. I chose it. It wasn't a kind of a discussion with the surgical team and the medical teams. It was completely my decision to do it, and I'm so glad I did. So yeah, I wanted to do this video to let people know that it was my choice to have colostomy surgery, and it's nothing to be scared of, nothing to be afraid of. It is a big change in your life, but once you get used to it, they're so easy to look after, and they're easy to clean. You can have skin problems. I have had skin problems, but that's minor compared to what I was going through. So there you go. That was my reasons for why I had a colostomy. If you've got any questions on that, just drop them in the comments box. More than happy to answer any questions that you have. Put them in there. If there's anything you need to know in relation to Crohn's disease, colostomy surgery, stoma products, etc., and then just put something in the comments, and I'll always try and answer everybody's question. If you like the video, give it a like. If you think anyone else would benefit from it, give it a share. And if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. And what do you think to this thing? I made this. I had a spare picture frame and I didn't want to throw it away, so I decided I'd make something with it. So as you can see, it's got Sydney Stoma, and all these are the base plates off the Sensuro Mio Coloplast bags that I use. So what do you think to that? Do you like it? Think it's cheesy? Any good? Let me know what you think, positive or negative, I don't mind. Anyway, hope you all stay safe, all stay well in this current situation, and I'll see you soon on the next video. Take care, bye bye.